Alright, so we're going to start streaming here on YouTube. Looks like we've got a good connection. And my screen, I'll just have a second to do this. Alright. So, I hope the code recording turns out good. But I'm going to start making a video about some of my favorite builds, how to build them, why to build them, for people who are interested in why I'm successful at what I do in League or why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is not anything about my teammates, not anything about their builds. It's not about why they're good or why they're doing stuff that's helpful. This is about why my build is successful and what kind of teammates I can play with that make this build even better. So we'll hope the stream turns out good. We're going to stream to YouTube for a little bit. That's where this is going to be at. And I'll go over my level 1 and what we do. And I'll go over the engage stuff. We're doing this in practice tool. Where's my teleport? Shift S, K. And this is kind of what we do. It's a very fun tactic. It's good. A lot of people don't expect it. A lot of people don't see it coming. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to counter this build, but it's still fun. So, I'll go over my starting items. So first off, we buy a longsword and we don't do anything with it. We just buy it. This is because it's 350 gold. You start out with roughly, 450, 500. Because you could buy 450 for your item usually, a potion, and a stealth ward. Or oracle lens if you want. But, I mean, sure, this gives you 80 extra hit points, so you can take an extra attack, which is, about an extra attack. But what I'm doing here is stacking damage, 10, on top of my 2 already bonus damage add-ons of like 6 to 8 damage from my mastery stuff. We're getting an extra, it's probably, it's like 6 each, plus we're getting some extra bonus power immediately. And it's adaptive stuff, so it ends up giving us damage later on in the game. The longer the game goes on, we get more damage here. Dark Harvest does some extra damage, helps us get some kills early, as well as later on it does some really good damage. Cheap Shot, for when you have traps on the ground, somebody steps on a trap, you shoot them, this does extra damage. Because Cheap Shot plus a headshot, because it does more range. I can shoot them when they're on a trap, and it does more damage. So we're getting 69 damage, plus the, extra 10 at level 1. That's on top of this 85. That's a good, crit. That's just like a free crit. We got this for if we want to damage champions. Later, we collect all the 1 per each champion. We get attack damage. I might switch this out to a different one, just like ward based, because it's more consistent to get the ghost wards and the poros than it is to get these ones. And then Ravenous Hunter, because this is pretty much our only source of healing. Pretty much it. 5 attack damage, 6 armor. So at level 1, we can go over lots of different stuff here for dummies. So most people have about 40 armor to start out with. I take traps. Let's just make sure these are on cooldown. Energy and cooldowns. Okay. So what we're going to do is when you can come into laning stuff, we normally come over here, and if we're on this side, we'll engage. So let's just hop over here quickly. At the beginning of the game, sometimes we run up here. I'll throw a ward. I'll come up here, and I'll just go for it. I'll just throw a trap, and that right there is usually enough to catch whoever's deciding to camp in this bush and wait because they don't want to do anything else. They're just going to wait for this golem, and they're just going to shoot it. But they realize that this is here, and then they panic. So they go, oh no, I need to run away. And then they step on this. This gives us a free time to shoot stuff. Now, the people you would want to engage with are anybody that can pull back or stun as soon as that hits. Now, this doesn't stop here. You can throw this here and go, oh, that's really good. Or, oh, and then you just start throwing traps. People start running. You don't constantly auto attack. You just shoot once and you keep running and laying traps. Eventually, they'll step on this one and this one trying to get back out to their tower. If they run this way, don't chase them. You have no idea what's going to be over here. You have to run around, and you don't have a straight path to run over here. You have to do more distance to cover over here to see stuff. I don't know what it is about this corner, but I can stand here at this corner and not see around it. Whereas if I stand here at this corner, I can see around it quite easily. So, those are level 1 stuff. It's usually an invade. If you're on this side, you lay a trap right here at 120. The 120 trap can go here, and you'll have a trap for here and here. Don't place this one. This one can be seen by the enemy tower. This will spook your enemy. Don't spook your enemy. So, what you want to do is throw a trap here about when they hit here. Because if they step on this trap, the only option they have is to backpedal this way. They can only backpedal this way. So, if they decide to walk on these traps, they don't last super long, so you only have so much time to actually trap your opponent. They run it here because they're running from red buff, because this is the standard pattern of junglers. They start here. They get a leash because it's going to help them, and we get first blood over here. This allows us to go back into lane here and immediately start, farming away. So, now that you've got some, gold or whatever it is you need to make your build better, this usually gives me first blood. First blood is enough to buy another sword. If you get 2 kills out of this, you can buy a dirk. This is why we started with the longsword. Because first blood is 400, then 300, plus you've already had 150 left over. If you have first blood and no kills, you can still buy a dirk, because 400 is... No, I guess you can't really buy the dirk. You can go kill a few minions and then buy the dirk, like a first wave, which is good, because then they won't be back. And then what you can do is you can back to base, teleport back into lane, and suddenly you've got a dirk. Okay? But we're going to show you the damage first of what you can do damage-wise at level 1. We're a little bit higher because we waited till the 10-minute mark to start streaming this, so give take away 5 damage. So you trap these things, they trap, you shoot. Okay? That extra 10 damage from this, pretty good. You did 100, you did this much total damage for your hit. If you're fighting somebody later in the game, we've got armor values here too, but this is your level 1 damage. If you shot somebody just like this is your basic damage. So you can harass down people, and sometimes you want to do this where you run up and back off, but you don't want to don't want to flip out too much early, because otherwise you just don't get your hit. But you can move right after you shoot to improve your backing up. So this is a crit shot. So if you got one of these things and you can manage to land a trap, you can go shoot, and it will do that. You'll do a really big hit, and you'll get a total of usually a third of somebody's life. Now, if you did manage to get that dirk, this is people starting stuff without that. So now you've decided, oh yeah, I just want to go trap them. So if we trap, and shoot, we are now a significantly higher amount of damage. So, when I usually back off in lane, I usually buy a Dirk. If I've bought a Dirk and I need to go again, this is usually, and I'm successful in lane, I get this and this. So let me add gold and buy the second part. Now, sometimes I don't get the collector right off the bat because I either don't have enough money or I'm running back to lane and I'm just shy up on stuff. But we're going to add what levels I usually get. So it's about level 5. If I'm doing really good, I get to this point. So we're going to go up in level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to take our net second, Peacemaker third, and double trap. Now, the reason for the more traps is the traps make your headshot damage go up. You see, we now have a huge amount of headshot damage. So, somebody walking into lane, AD carries still usually have 40 armor at this point. If I shoot once, that's good. That's a lot of damage. If I crit, that's even more damage. Now, if I shoot, trap, shoot, that's slow. You see how there was a time in between the delays on the attacks? But if I trap, shoot, still a little slow. There's a way you can do this that makes it work.
So many bad guys, so little time.
You have to do it a little bit tricky, but if you can manage to do this, you can actually get a second shot off. It's a little hard to do, and I don't pull it off every time. And you don't want to be stuck there shooting like that because that makes you a very vulnerable target.
Meet the long gun of the law.
So, it's a little harder to pull off.
Boom.
But normally you just get the trap and the shot. You get the shot and the trap, or it's the...
Sorry, boys. I keep the fuzzy
and it activates pretty quick. It does allow you to hit the trap sooner. So, I mean, I could be back here and then like still from a good safe distance. It's not quite what my range is going to be. And sometimes you don't want to like backpedal up your traps like this or put one at your feet if you know you're getting dived. And if they come and hit your trap, we're going to get you. You can put one right here and net across it and still do stuff. So don't be afraid to place a trap like right in front of you and then walk over it, because leading your targets is good. All right, enough rambling.
Time for a
We'll put together when I actually start to do damage. So it's this one and a Prowlers. Now, the reason I go Prowlers over something like a Duskblade or Eclipse or something else is this actually adds extra lethality per legendary you have. So this is actually a 26 lethality item. This is 12, which this turns into 21 and 17. And now have 38 flat. Okay, this is most of the time good enough for, you know, a basic shot. At this point, I'm usually like level 8. But we'll do... yeah, we'll do this so I can have 1, 2... and I usually take a second Peacemaker because I don't need my extra net cooldown. It's usually safe for the most part. If you're getting ganked too much, put this here. Because you need to make sure this cooldown down here goes lower. If you're getting ganked, do this. If you're being successful, go with this one. That's the way you're supposed to go. Now, the Peacemaker is good, but its mana cost also goes up, so be careful. Its damage, it goes up slightly with total 80 ratio, and its base damage goes up, but it still procs your base headshot. Now, this base headshot damage goes up even more because of your snap trap. You can see that the bonus attack damage ratio starts at 40 and then it jumps up 15% per level. So let's essentially think of that as a 15% damage amp per level. It adds a bonus damage on trapped targets plus a bonus attack damage ratio. So it's even higher. You get longer trap durations, you get more traps. And if they still have, 40 armor, this is what's going to happen. That is going to happen. They have 1,000 hit points. They're going to get shot for an enormous amount. I have 230 damage, and they just got shot for 730. My DPS per second isn't very high, but if they get shot, and it's a crit, it's going to hurt. Now, at this point, there's usually a tank. They've got about 140 armor. This is what we do to 140 armor tanks. It's about the same, and we can get off, but we can get off the same amount of damage, but we have to use a net to compensate, a net shot. Now, if this person, this AD carry, comes at you and lands a trap, you land a trap on them, we still had that extra shot level ready. That is a dead AD carry. Any way you put it, if they don't have any way to stop it, and you just, and you could walk back into it. Now, if you have to walk up to your target, you could be dead in that little time frame right there. You could be dead. Now, if there's an enemy tank that's doing really well, this is what you're going to do to them. It's not going to be hardly anything. See? Hardly anything. You're going to go back down to basic damage. You're going to do nothing to this tank, and they're going to kill you. They're going to destroy you. So, what you have to do at this point is save up enough money to buy one specific item. You have to buy a Dominix, because it's got percentage penetration and bonus physical damage. I believe there's a way to add health to... Yeah, add health is Control-Shift-T. So... that's not the right one. 2, 3, 4, 5. They usually have 2,600 hit points at this point with that much armor. And that makes this damage go up. So they've got quite a bit more than we do. We've probably hit level... let's go 11 by now. Sometimes we're a little slower. So this is your and your 80 carries at this point have closer to this value in armor. They're a little bit, you'll do a little bit more than this, but that's still a tank that's built, your support, your tanky supports, you're still your 80 carry. You may need to shoot them a second time, but this is a tank. You're doing good damage, but you're not enough to kill them yet. Not quite enough. Not nearly enough. You're doing the damage, so you're able to kill them with this, but this is just the bare minimum. You need to have these 3 items. If this tank runs at you, you need backup. You need to constantly shoot them, you need to do stuff. I mean, you could ult the target like this and do its entire, amount of... If it's under half hit points, that usually kills an 80 carry. This one, less damage. This one, even less damage. And we'll get to this guy in a second, the 600 armor target. So, what you need to do now that you've got it, you build a serrated dirk. Don't do anything with it. Leave it there. This is just because it's going to flesh out some of your basic armor that you need to go through. Which usually is everything and true damage toward your 80 carries. Because they get armor per level. So then you buy an Infinity Edge. Now this right here, this is enough to drop tanks pretty efficiently. So, oh, let's get a crit. All right. So we got a crit. We can go get another one. That's it. That's a normal shot. It does a lot of damage. Your tank over here, we can trap. Pretty good damage to a tank now. That's a very high tanky target. It takes 75% reduced damage. But we're going through 35 per 100. So that's 35, 35, 35. That's 105 armor taken out plus 58. So we're getting this guy down to half of his armor gone already, just from our setup. So that goes down to 150. It's pretty much the same damage as this guy's taking without any penetration, just any of the lethality stuff. If you somehow have a super fed tank, you're still going to let's put a trap on him. We'll show you the one trap damage, and then we'll shoot the 600 armor.
Headshot.
It's still half the damage going up, but you're still able to do damage. If they get under that point, you collect them. That's great. You know, this guy goes under what, 130 hit points, dies. So now we're gonna finish this build. I've gone through a few options, and they're all armor pen related. Sure, I could go with the Serpent's Fang for if there's just a shield heavy team. I could go Edge of Night if I really just need to stop dying. And you just take a hit. My favorite option is Fizz Vamp because we don't have another way to heal ourselves. So I have usually turned to this item to shoot stuff. It makes my auto attack smoother. It makes everything run better. It's just a better item. I don't have boots. You know, notice here, I don't have boots. I could buy Ghostblade. It's got 40 out of combat movement speed. It usually compensates for all of my movement speed because if I go over here, you notice I start going back to normal movement speed. I have a 325 base, and that's usually where I sit at in my game. I wait for people to come to me. I trap them. I net them. I shoot them. I've got my ult if I really need to help out with my team and shoot stuff at quite a bit of a range. At this point, I've usually hit 16, 17. So I'm going to go to 16. I usually max this out because I'm usually in trouble. In that 90 cabinet, I'm usually getting died because I don't have the movement speed. You don't need to max this out. It doesn't need to really be pushed. It does good damage because this does good damage, this does good damage. You put them together,
Want to see a hat
and
trick?
I mean, you see like it's not maxed out, still hits for quite a bit. Sure, it's not like being shot, because the shot does quite a bit of damage. And now, so we're gonna go back here, buy what I normally buy. We'll go to Sanguine Blade, and we'll end up going for Ghostblade. Recently, I've been avoiding Ghostblade for one other item, the Rapid Fire. Just because I find that I'm not needing to run to my targets as much as stay away from them. And because I'm still running, it's charging up at about the same rate. So over here, I could buy this rapid fire. This makes my crits more reliable. My crits are still pretty big. I've got this thing adding 25 lethality, which makes up for one whole item. I'm now at 7635, which is a little lower than I'm normally at. But I can charge these shots. It gives me a tiny bit of movement speed still, so I'm not completely out of the ballpark with movement speed. And I've got a lot of range. If I trap a target,
I have the juice.
really good damage. If I trap an 80 carry later, sometimes these are the ones that buy armor.
Headshot.
Real good. If they refuse to buy armor, they absolutely refuse to buy armor, they'll usually end up with 80 armor at the end. 3, 4. So he's got 80 armor. They'll usually end up here if they refuse to buy any armor. And they'll walk on a trap in a bush, and this is what will happen. $3,400 damage, gets shot to your 80 carry. It's a trap. It's a Q trap combo. They'll walk into a bush.
Right.
It will happen usually here, here, or here. These are the places they have to run through. I've got a clip on YouTube of a Sivir walking into a bush. I spray her like this, and I just shoot her. I think I netted up this way because of Trundle, but she just exploded. Most people don't see this. They can't see this unless they have a sweeper walking into the bush. That's a counter. You got to watch out for people on in your game that have sweepers.
I love a good chase.
You can place 2 traps and cover this entire thing. 1, 2. That's good. This will cover anybody who tries to come in. Always place them on the opposite side. If you're blue team, this way. If you're red team, opposite side. Because if they can't see this. If they walk even here, they will trigger the trap. All they have to do is step into the bush where they're invisible, and this will trigger. You do this, and you've got a lot of damage. If they're still going to get away, ult them. If they still continue to chase you, you can place a trap here and wait for them to come close to you. You can net them over here, but you never want to be more than your Q's distance away from trap. Even though you could shoot further, this is where you want to be. Sure, rapid fire helps you with other shots, gets you some more range on your basic hits when you're not trapping.
Hot on the trail.
It can be really good. It can also make you shoot this from over here. Really safe distance. So, the 600 armor thing later, this is Malphite.
Shakedown.
This is what you do to Malphite. This is the damage. You hit him for half his life. That's 600 armor. You can trap, shoot, trap, and you can keep shooting until that second trap decides to activate on him. Usually you've got some kind of crowd control, but it's really good, really powerful. You can shoot people for a ton of damage.
Don't be caught flat-footed.
Now, if you decide to go instead of rapid fire, we'll go level up to 18 at this point because we are late game. You decide not to go with the rapid fire cannon, and you decide to go with the Ghost Blade instead.
Want to see a hat trick?
This gives you a little bit more mobility to run and chase and get out. It's quite a bit faster. It's not quite as much as buying boots, but you can press this and you can clear a little bit more ground. Don't use this as a normal getting around the map. Use this as I need to get through stuff and not be stopped by, I need to walk, don't need to walk around stuff, I need to get through my team. You usually go like, you like net and then ghost. And you clear as much ground as you possibly can. Backpedaling, trapping. You just keep going. If somebody's coming in here, don't try to put the trap behind you as you're running. They're going to walk around this. They're going to go here, and they're probably going to have a dash to go this other way. Put it in the bush. If this isn't warded, you're safe. If it is warded, they have to walk around. They would go straight through here, and they wouldn't want to. They would still chase you. I don't know about human behavior, but they have to chase you. They don't want to walk up and around this bush, because if they do that, they're still going to try to walk here because they think they're dodging it, and it's going to trap them. It's really cool. Psychology stuff. Mess with people's brains. Now, if you get the chance, you've got, say, Renekton chasing you over here. You need to get out. You need to place a trap. You need to run. Place another trap, because after you flash, make some distance. By this time, you've usually got friends to back you up. If you still don't, just get out. Get out. Wait for a friend. You need a pike, a blitz, a thresh, Leona, anybody with CC to help you. Somebody with high damage usually is preferred to help be some kind of an aggro magnet on the team, so you're not the only one doing the damage. Because if you die and you're like the only damage, it's kind of hard to win the game. So, ult DPS, you can do this to targets. Ooh, look, they're about the same. That's about half. This should be about half of that. So you can finish people. And that would say, I would put this as, if he's got 500 or less hit points, the ult will kill him. 1,000 or less, this will kill him. If they're under half, this will kill them. If they're under 2/3, this will usually get rid of them. And thanks for watching. This is usually about 37 minutes. This is usually about your late game. You've got about 500 damage. If you want to, you can buy a potion. You can buy a Farsight. You can put down, your ult goes quite a bit. So in Farsight and your ult are about the same distance. You can see that? So you can Farsight to here and then ult whoever you saw. They're about the same. It's really good. So Farsight, ult, Farsight, ult. It's a slight bit smaller, but gets the job done. If you lose vision, say Vayne's running away from you, and she just ran from here all the way over here, throw a Farsight, throw an ult. Super smart. What you can do from here is you can even step out. If they decide to come at you, you can even check the bush with one of these first. Don't be afraid to use this as a way to check your bushes. If you hear a hit, because it will sound like this. Now they're in the bush. See that ching? That's what happens when you hit somebody in a bush. You know there's somebody in there. You don't want to walk out of this late game. If there's somebody in that bush, they are going to mess you up. Now if you hit them, they may come out. But if you hit them, you can do one of these and see if they're in there. If not, I mean, that's good. You can put this here and still stay on this corner. See, I can place the traps here while still being here. If they can see me coming out. If they're coming out, net back. If they still come after you, flash back. Always use your flash as some kind of escape. Don't use it as some kind of engage. I mean, if you do, there better be like 3 people already dead or a single target you kill, because you don't have a full build. Never flash for a target at full build, because you're probably going to throw the game. You're probably going to be like, oh no, he's getting away, I need to shoot. And it's like, oh, he's hit points. And you just did this, and now somebody's going to jump on your face and shoot you. Your attack speed isn't dirt because you have 80% with this item. So, I mean, you can see this is one attack speed item on Caitlyn. This is all you usually really need to shoot a target. Keep in mind, this damage is not real. He's got 80 armor. It's just, this is 80 carry damage. So, don't try to worry about it too much. With, you know, you're playing, you can practice it, try it out. This build works on lots of different champions, but they all have to be built a little bit differently. If you're prowlers, you can go with ranged option. Prowlers is really good because you can try this. Now, this is really helpful if somebody is like, you know, charging you. You can prowlers on the opposite side of them. It's like, oh no, Renekton came in this bush and charged after me. I can dash on the other side of him, do this. Or I can prowlers flash, or I can prowlers flash net, still hit him, shoot him, and suddenly I've cleared some ground away from him. Don't discount prowlers because it's, you know, it's a dash. Giving 80 carries some kind of movement is good. So keep that in mind. Really helpful. I'm at 94 armor as my high end. I haven't bought a single armor item. That's about what 80 carries cap out at. 94, 100, 80, depending on your 80 carry. This is about where you're going to be at. If you really feel like you could get away with not buying the Sanguine Blade for some other item, I would advise against it, because you do 100% fizz damage except for your net. Your net really doesn't do damage, it just allows you to do another headshot. So sure, your headshot's going to regular do 953, but you're doing an extra 1500 damage instead of 900. You're 1500 instead of 900 when you just hit it with a net or a trap. That combined with, 500 damage.
Boom. Headshot.
That was 2600 damage. 80 carries? 2700 damage. May not look like it, but
Got them in my sights.
you throw a two tap on somebody, real good. And you can do this. You can prime your stuff. So if you know they're gonna step on the trap, you can ahead of time get that extra damage out. That's 600 armor. Taking that kind of damage. And there's your full combo. You just hit everybody with everything. Like that's trap range. And as soon as you're in auto range, you can net. Because if you can auto them, you can net them, and they're on the same range. So, and then you got another auto to do. So if you, and that's usually what it comes down to. Easy, simple, fun. We could try it in a normal game, but this is just a rundown. So let me know what you guys think. We're just doing this 40-minute review video of what it takes to do this build. So thanks, and we will see you. Say hi on the YouTube channel. Say hi on the Discord. We'll see you guys later.